Hello and welcome to the Bog Frog Book Pod. My name is James, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host Seth. Not Red, because today is a mini episode, and we are talking about 1999's The Blair Witch Project. My pick for the Oops All Movies mini episodes is one of them at least. Seth, had you seen this one before?
This is my third or fourth time watching this movie.
Okay, I would have been shocked if you had it.
Yeah, so the last time, before this most recent time, I actually have a really fun little story about this movie. So before, last time I watched this was last night with my lovely partner.
I also watched it with my lovely partner.
And then, but before that was maybe like two and a half, 3 years ago. And it was at one of my local theaters was doing this thing. They have not done this since, where like every single day in October they were playing like a different horror movie.
Oh, that's fun.
It was really fun. I this is the only one I got to go to, sadly, but there was some neat shit in there. So I went with my parents. And they were just playing it off of like a DVD. You could see the menu.
Which we'll talk about that a little bit later, because there's some interesting stuff with that.
But they're just playing it off of DVD or whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah, like, two people, like, right beside me, like, there's probably, like, an empty seat, and then the people filling up the other seats were a dad and either his 3 12-year-old sons or like two of them looked the same and then one looked a little bit different, so that might have been like a friend or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But these were obviously like, there was like 3 12-year-old boys and they were insanely excited. They obviously were like, come on, we gotta watch a horror movie type thing. And then the dad was like, well, sure, it's Blair Witch, it's fine.
That fucking rocks.
And I was like, I clocked that, and I was like, okay. Well, I'm like curious. I'm like, is this gonna do anything for him?
Yeah. How's this gonna hit?
Yeah, how's it gonna hit with him? And when the credits rolled, there was like, silence, and then I just heard all of them really like, whew. I was like, it works. It still works.
Oh, it's so good. That's so good. That's what you fucking want, baby.
It still got it.
Yeah, I had no idea how I was going to feel about this movie going into it. Because I've enjoyed the found footage stuff like we've watched together or watched the show or whatever. But I've never seen Blair Witch before. And my parents repeatedly have told me how much they fucking hate this movie. Like, they just cannot get on its level at all. Just on a fundamental level, just think it's annoying as hell. And I'm like, okay, I wonder how I feel. I was delighted. I was so charmed. All the first half stuff with all the little characters chit-chatting, and I was like, these guys are great. I love, there's a part where they're in the fucking car, and it's Josh, I think it's Josh talking about the camera, the focal length on the camera, and Heather's like, it's in meters. Why is it meters? We're in America. And, I'm like, this is great. I love that shit. I'm like, I love talking about cameras. More movies should talk about cameras. I was just absolutely over the moon with it.
I think this movie's fucking incredible. I think this movie
it's really good, dude.
I think this movie's wonderful.
And like,
wonderful,
I was really
amazing.
There was a moment, well, the very end, right, at the house and everything. It's all scary.
Yeah.
Watching that made The Haunting of Hill House make more sense. I was like, oh, this is what that is riffing off of, and like puts the final sequence of that into context. That just made all of that click closer to my brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go. That all makes sense.
I was thinking a lot about this. I was thinking a lot about another movie I watched in October, or I think it was like late November. I don't remember, or late September. I don't fucking remember. I watched the new film Frogman. Let me tell you,
Ohio pride, I assume.
Exactly. And let me tell, I didn't really think about this while I was watching that movie, but watching this movie, I was like, oh, they're literally just doing the same shit, except Frogman is nowhere near as good. it is like an incredibly like unkind comparison point.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, this is Blair Witch is great. It's incredible, and then Frogman, I'm like, this kind of sucks.
Blair Witch is kind of a miracle. It's something.
It really is. I do actually think the beginning of Frogman, when it is just kind of aping the like going around the small town asking people about the thing.
Yeah,
that stuff's fun. But you know, Blair Witch goes really cool and terrifying and artsy with its horror. And Frogman sucks. When it starts to go real hard onto that.
You know, that's what separates them. You know, that's the pros from you know, the common man. Yeah, I loved it. And if you haven't watched this movie, the plot is 3 film students want to make a documentary about a local legend in Maryland. So they interview some people, you know, they chit chat. They've got a high 8 handycam. I don't think it's technically a handycam. Maybe. I don't know. It's a camcorder. It's a camcorder. A high 8 camcorder. I looked that up because I wanted to know what film stock that was. Because that's what I'm a nerd about. But they're using a high 8 handheld camera, and then they've got a 16 millimeter, like proper black and white film camera that they're using also. And so like they're recording all this stuff. Then they get into the woods. Then they get lost in the woods. They get even more lost in the woods. Scary things start happening. And then they all die. And it's sad.
Yeah. It's upsetting.
So when you watch this, this is one of the things I was reading about. When you watch this, what version did you watch? Did you watch the DVD or the Blu-ray?
This most recent time?
Yeah, this most recent time.
I downloaded the Blu-ray.
Interesting, because I watched the DVD. Because I had read online that this, because, well, recently in the news when we're recording this, it was announced that a new restoration of this film's coming out, actually.
Yes.
Which I'm very excited
I tried looking
about
for that because it has come out in the UK. I mean, like, where it's coming out, because it's not coming out in the US yet.
Yeah,
maybe
I didn't know it was
ever.
even available yet. Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah.
Yes, because I spent a little bit of time looking for that. I was like, ooh, if I could find that, that'd be really cool.
That would be great. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
But I couldn't, so I just downloaded the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I watched the DVD specifically because apparently the Blu-ray crops in the footage. Because
that makes sense.
The original release is like a very tight film frame. Release, it's not even 4:3. It's 1.33:1. Like it's a very strange aspect ratio.
Very odd.
So the DVD preserves that, and then the Blu-ray apparently just crops it in. So I was like, no, I'll watch the DVD, and I don't understand. This is me talking about technical jargon again. The DVD rip I watched was also in 1080, but DVDs don't go that high. They go up to 480 for storage limitation reasons. So I don't know what that means. I was very confused what the uploader on the legal internet that I got that file from, obviously, meant by that. But it looked great still. You know, it was filmed on high in 16 millimeter. You know, that HD ain't gonna buy you much.
I mean, yeah. It also, in some ways, some lower resolution
might add to the
ambiance. Might add a certain
I straight up could not tell what that bloody stuff in that bundle was. Like, I didn't know. I had to look it up later. I didn't look it up, so they just stumbled across it. I was like, oh, it's not just like random meat. It's meant to be like a tongue and some teeth and stuff.
Oh, okay, because Kat actually asked about that. And I was like, I don't know if it's supposed to be anything specific.
Yeah.
I was like, it just kind of looks like it's a bunch of, like, bloody stuff, but you're like, oh, it kind of looks like a tongue.
Yeah, because, like, part of it, I was like, that looks like a tooth, but that's too big. I think that was the tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have realized, I think this year, 2 things I've realized this year, which is that I have a, like, deep... I don't even know how to describe
fondness.
A fondness, but that's not even necessarily because I don't think I ever like consciously sought this out.
Yeah,
but like this year, I'm like, I kind of know a lot about found footage movies. Like I've seen a
You do.
lot
You're
of
like
them.
a found footage guy in my mind. Like
Yeah.
I just
Like, I don't.
you said a variation of this recently in a chat we were in. I saw that. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're the found footage guy.
Yeah, I
You
didn't
watch
really think
so
about
many
it.
of these things.
I do end up doing that. I didn't really think about that until recently. I'm like, huh. I also didn't realize until this year. I was like, huh. I also know like a shit ton about zombie movies. Like I just have a lot of that in my brain too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, huh. This is really a child of the 2000s, I guess.
Oh my god! On Wikipedia, there's a list of like notable found footage films, or whatever. And I was just scrolling through, and like once you hit 2008, every year has like 5. 2012 had an obscene amount of these things. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah,
you know what's fucked up? You know what's fucked up though?
What?
Not a single Shiraishi film on that list. I was really upset to see that.
You hate to see it.
I was like, you fucking scum.
You fuckers.
You don't even know.
Yeah, I was talking to Kat about this because she asked me like, oh, like, do you prefer this movie or the horror in the high desert movies? And I was like, I think I prefer this movie more than any individual horror in the high desert film.
I think that's fair.
But I probably I'm more interested in the horror in the high desert films than I am in any of the other Blair Witch films. Necessarily.
I was gonna ask you about that because I've heard Blair Witch 2's got ideas.
I haven't seen the whole thing. It does got ideas. It is weird.
Got ideas. So I'm kind of interested in that.
I am kind of interested. Do you know about the PC game that's a sequel to this? Not the new one.
Okay, no, I know about the new one that came out and like bombed. Like people hated it.
You ever heard of Nocturne?
Oh yes, I do know about Nocturne. I forgot that's connected to this.
Yeah, like Nocturne 2 is like a Blair Witch, is part of the Blair Witch series.
And Blood Rain originates from Nocturne because the character of Rain is like a photocopy of a Nocturne character, but like with the name change slightly. Yes, I do know about Nocturne. Yeah.
I am.
That shit's crazy.
That shit is crazy. Because I am kind of like I think the legend of the Blair Witch as presented in this, like I think that stuff is really interesting.
Yeah, I like how it doesn't quite piece together cleanly, like I like that. That's really good. That's good.
Yeah, it leaves a lot of room for interpretation.
Yeah.
And makes you like, hold on. But I think it comes together when it needs to. I mean, obviously, with Josh in the corner at the end of the movie, which is like just a perfect like. It's just a scary fucking thing to look at. It's not good. People shouldn't stand in corners like that.
No, not when people are screaming for you. Like, no.
It's like inherently scary, but also if you're like paying attention and you're like, oh yeah, they made the kids turn around.
Don't like that.
Yeah, I think this movie's like even now. I think this movie's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I found it incredibly upsetting. Like
the sheer. Even without all the supernatural stuff, which adds a layer to it, just like these people are not ready to be in the woods.
No, they are lost, they are scared, and they cannot handle it. And also, there might be something out there. And even if it's not supernatural, that's fucked up. You don't want something out in the woods. Like the bits that really got to me were like when they're like hearing the witch out in the woods.
Oh yeah,
something out
like
in the wood.
Right outside of their tent.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
that's the scariest shit of all time.
That's like the shit that used to like scare the hell out of me as a kid when we would go camping, and I'm like, that would be my fear. It's just
something hearing something, like hearing somebody talking right outside of your fucking tent.
No, no.
It's fucking scary. Like that's
I like that.
And there's also like this level to it of like you just aren't sure what's going on.
Yeah.
And part of you're like, are they taking her out here to like do something bad to her? Like are they like like there's all this like all these questioning things where you're like, what's going on? Like, why are they acting like this?
Yeah, when they start getting just mean, I'm just like, oh my God.
They're so mean to each other. They're so fucking shitty to each other.
They're so mean. I was like, these people are not... not equipped for this. They do not know each other well enough. Oh no! Like I don't know exactly how I got this impression, but like I got the impression like Josh and Heather like would know each other. Like they're probably friends, but like Josh knows Mike, but Mike doesn't know Heather, sort of deal. Yeah. And like that's it. But then like I love that at the end it's Heather and Mike. Like they're the only two that are really left behind. Then they kind of come together at that point. I'm like, that's nice, and then they all die. But
when because we watch them like deteriorate.
Yeah, just like slowly tear each other apart too. Like it's brutal the shit they're saying at each other.
When there's actually a scene when I think it is Josh who is like just holding the camera up to Heather's face.
Yeah,
and it's like nobody's here to save you, and it's just like saying the situation, and it's just at the end of every single one being like nobody's here to help you.
It's just so mean.
It's insanely mean.
So mean. I'm like, oh my god. Don't do that to each other. Don't treat people like that.
Don't do that. But there's a scene kind of like that in The Visit. That is also like incredibly emotionally devastating. Oh, like ooh.
I gotta watch that there Visit.
It's the perfect timing. It's a winter movie.
Oh, that is good. That is good. Maybe me and my lovely partner will watch it.
So much fun.
I was reading about the production of this movie today because I was just curious about some of this stuff. Because I knew it's like an indie picture, I know it's incredibly low budget. Some estimates put it at like $35,000 for the actual filming, and then like a few $100,000 afterwards just for advertising. But like the actual movie itself would have only cost about $60,000 or so tops, is what I saw. But one of the interesting things is, I don't know if you know this, and I don't know if I'm understanding this correctly either. From what I could tell, they went into the goddamn woods with their actors, right?
Mm-hmm.
They go into the goddamn woods, and they had like a very loose screenplay. All the dialogue is improvised, which makes sense for this sort of film. But they would lead the actors to specific spots in the woods where they had left film canisters with notes in them about what is happening. And they like gave them the GPS coordinates for them to track down themselves, from what I could tell. Baffling. A baffling thing to do to your actors.
I'm like imagining how that turned out.
I read it on the Wikipedia page, and I was like, what the fuck do you mean? I wish I had been able to watch the commentary before we recorded, because I bet that's where this is discussed, This is a movie where I think the commentary is probably fascinating. There's probably so much stuff. And there was like a mention of like the director's like basically harassing the actors as well, like limiting how much they could eat, like limiting their sleep and everything, because they're actually sleeping in the woods, which I don't think you should do that. I don't think that's good filmmaking, but like it creates an energy, like it does have an effect.
It definitely does these things. It's like an extreme version of how like, American Graffiti was filmed in sequence. Like they did, they started at the beginning of the script and then moved forward so that like, the emotions would be correct at the end of the movie. It was also like,
interesting.
A little interesting. A little rough, I would say.
Yeah, I think maybe that there's a reason we don't do that.
I mean, if you got people that are willing to, and like, you're not hurting them. Yeah. If they're fine with it, I don't give a shit. But like that seems rough.
Yeah, like I don't know if they exactly understood that's what they were getting into, but
it seems like a hard time.
It seems difficult. Also, like apparently none of the actors were like paid basically at all for several years until like a lawsuit came out and everything, which is crazy.
Yeah, I also know like I don't even think the directors have been paid much.
Which is crazy. I also, watching this movie, I had conflated my cultural knowledge, not actual knowledge, just like absorbed knowledge of Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity. So like, I did not realize there's only like 3-ish Blair Witch movies. I thought there were a ton of these damn things.
Yeah, there's only the 3 of them.
Yeah.
The Book of Shadows, the weird like meta sequel thing.
Where and then the 2016 one.
Yeah, then the 2016 one, by Adam Wingard.
Everyone's favorite guy.
Everyone's favorite dude. Everyone's favorite Godzilla director.
Everyone loves him. They're always talking about it.
I actually, so I didn't know this. I haven't seen that 2016 one. I'm not. I will eventually, I'm sure, but
almost certainly. I don't know if you have a choice.
Just so I can figure it out. But something I thought was really interesting about it was apparently it wasn't supposed to be called Blair Witch.
Oh,
I think it was supposed to just be called like Within the Woods or something.
Oh, okay.
And then it would be, that'd be the rug pull at the end.
It'd be a stealth sequel,
is that it would connect itself to the Blair Witch.
See, that's fun. I think that's good. I think that's fun. I think
that would have been
cool. If the movie's not great, you would have had something to talk about.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. And now it's just like, it's, everybody knows. So it's not as fun.
Yeah. It's not nearly as fun. Yeah, I'm less interested in that one. I'll probably end up watching Book of Shadows at some point, just because I'm like,
that one seems wild.
I also really want to watch some of the like DVD extra stuff for the original movie. Like, there's some interesting like in-universe.
Yeah,
DVD
there's like the
stuff.
Blair Witch Experience or whatever.
Yeah, there's a Curse of the Blair Witch, which is like kind of a prequel fall like thing going on.
Yeah, where it's kind of it's like telling you lore about the witch.
Yeah,
I'd imagine.
And I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah, that seems fun. That seems good.
Yeah, really. I also found another thing.
I know there's a bunch. Like there was a bunch of stuff that like led up to the release.
Yeah, the ARG stuff. Yeah.
Which this is like where that started, isn't it?
It's one of the really early ARG projects, specifically for like marketing purposes. Like not Led Zeppelin, Jesus, Pink Floyd had like an early ARG thing going on, but it never really finished, never went anywhere. It was just like a few bits and pieces, and it was like Usenet days, like before the internet as we consider it now existed. But Blair Witch did a lot of that, or like early stuff, like seeding fake news stories and like all this stuff.
Yeah,
interesting. I should deep dive on that as well. I bet there's stuff there that's fun to think about.
I'm sure.
Because like that's the other thing is that like in the lead up to the movie, they like talked about the actors as they were dead, right? Like they pretended that this was a real ass thing.
Yeah,
and that's like
taking a little bit of the cannibal Holocaust approach.
Yeah. You always hear stories of people talking about the movie when it came out, people believing it was real as a result and everything. And I believe that's part of what the second movie's playing on is like that.
Yeah, it's kind of responding to the response of Blair Witch. Which is cool. That's neat. Yeah. That's a cool idea.
Ideas.
I've heard it got kind of butchered by executives. But yeah, it seems
surprising.
Yeah, the cultural like legacy of Blair Witch is fascinating. It's like I think it's really interesting. I also think it's kind of sad that it has so thoroughly overshadowed just like how good the movie just is.
Yeah,
on its own. Because I mean that's like the thing at least I think it's changed now. I think the culture is more like swinging back around to being like, oh yeah, Blair Witch is actually really good. But for a long time it was like, gimmicky, whatever, the book bullshit. It's not actually that scary.
Definitely.
It was really funny hearing it. So this was Kat's second time watching it. And her first time was actually recently. It was like a couple weeks ago.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. Makes sense, spooky season.
Just with a bunch of like her housemates and stuff and their friends or whatever. And she was telling me that it was kind of funny how like at the end of the movie, hearing a bunch of people like I like guessed the things that people were saying. It was like, oh yeah, like there were some interesting reactions. I was like, oh yeah, a bunch of guys being like, it wasn't that scary. And like, you didn't even see the witch. And you're like, oh, that is actually exactly what people were saying. I'm like, yeah, the more things change.
I want to say the same,
But also, it was funny. It was like, whatever. To add to the people saying it wasn't that scary, because it was like you could hear a fucking pen drop in the room during like the end of that movie. Like, yeah, it's fucking scary.
Yeah, it's a scary movie where scary things happen, and you're like, oh no,
you ever been in the woods? It's bad out there.
The
You
blue.
should not do it.
They're scary and no one likes them.
No one likes
There's a
them,
reason we don't live in them.
This is why you don't fuck around with shit in the woods either.
No, you leave it be. You find some weird like wooden effigy things. You leave them alone.
You mind your own fucking business and you leave.
You don't knock over any stone towers that you find. That's for damn sure.
I remember when I was in the theater and they did that. I like actually gasped. I forgot about they did that. I was like, no, don't do that. What's wrong with you?
Obviously wrong.
You shouldn't do that.
This reminded me when me and my lovely partner Hope were watching it. They're interviewing the two fishermen on the river.
Mm-hmm.
I leaned over and up. I'm like, that's gonna be me and Seth someday.
It's true.
And they're like, what happened to Ren? And I was like, drowned. Like, we're fishing for him. That's what's happening.
Yeah, we're getting them. That'll be. We should start the. We should make the official bug frog creepypasta Ren drowned.
I thought you were gonna suggest we do a Paul is dead-esque sort of thing.
Yeah. We pretend that Ren died and that we replaced him with Ren.
An exact clone.
The fourth member of the Bog Frog book pod.
Ren 2.
Ren 2. Tall Ren.
Tall Ren.
Yeah, do you know about Tall Luke?
Tall Luke? Yeah, I know about Tall Luke.
That's what we gotta do. We gotta figure out how to harness that energy for the podcast.
We're close. I think we can do it.
Yeah, I think we can figure it out. It can't be that hard.
No. Just say some words. This get back to Blair, which has got me really wanting to finally watch Cloverfield as well. I've never seen Cloverfield, and I'm like, I think I should watch that.
I don't think I've ever seen all of Cloverfield. I think
really?
I rented it. I remember renting it.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I watched the whole thing, which is strange. I've seen 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great movie.
So I hear.
And I actually have been meaning to watch Cloverfield because it's a Matt Reeves film. The guy who did the recent Planet of the Apes sequels, War and Dawn and War of the Planet of the Apes, and it's also doing the new Batman movies.
I said the Batman, yeah.
Ooh,
my enemy.
Intriguing. The coolest guy.
He's probably fine. He just made a bad movie. That's okay.
He made a great movie. Made several great movies. Made Future
Shock.
Shock.
He also directed Let Me In, which I believe is an adaptation of the right one in, which is directed by the guy who directed The Snowman.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god. It's all coming together. We gave you all the clues. Holy shit. I remember looking at this guy's filmography when we did that episode, and then I just look at the Johnson gang.
I don't remember the Johnson. Is that his like weird comedy thing he had done?
Yeah, the like family comedy thing.
Yeah,
that going on. He used to do fucking like the Let the Right One In and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
yeah. That's poor bastard.
Poor Thomas Alfredson.
I gotta watch that Let the Right One In. I hear it's pretty good.
Gotta watch The Snowman again. Tis the season.
I will not be watching that movie. I think if I'm watching it, I'll incur brain damage.
Minisode 7. It's The Snowman Redux. That's what we should have done for our 1-year anniversary special. Is that we made Ren. We do a mini episode with all three of us.
Talking about the Snowman again.
Talking about the Snowman.
Oh, God. Well, I'll log that away for next year.
Let's see you try to talk about it, Ren.
You're so fucking smart.
Fucker. You try to hold that in your head.
The episode is just you and me dead silent as Ren is stumbling through a plot summary. We are occasionally heckling him.
Yeah, we just like occasionally like, so what's with this thing? Why did Val Kilmer do that?
What was the point of the coffee beans?
What's going on?
What's up with that? Explain it. It's explainable, isn't it? Give me an answer.
Blair Witch is like one of the most beautiful,
it's kind of
movies ever made.
shockingly good looking. Like, that's the other thing. I love the way this film looks.
That's why I'm like scared about that remaster, because I'm like, I'm so used to how it looks here.
Yeah.
And the remastered, like, I mean, from the clips I've seen, and I rewatched that little like reel after watching the movie, and just kind of be like, okay, like, and I compared them in my head. I was like, they seem to kind of take out a lot of the like warmer tones of the movie. And I'm kind of interested how that'll make me feel while I'm watching.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on here? I'm like, I want to watch it so fucking bad. I want to watch that.
Yeah, now that I have seen it, I am even more interested than I was before, because like just the announcement was enough to tickle my like technical interest, you know, just being, ooh, that's interesting. We're getting like a proper, you know, restoration thing. That's super cool.
For the first time ever.
First time ever, yeah.
Insane to me.
It's just crazy. But now I'm like, well, shit, now I really just want to see it because I like this movie, you know? It's not just a
figure out what that is.
I want to know what's up with that. It's good. It's good. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, Blair Witch. Go watch this movie. Turn off your damn cell phone.
You'll have a delightful time. Way better than Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla.
Who's to say?
I'm to say. I know.
Here's the thing. There's 0 chimps in this movie. There's 0 men in a gorilla suit. And Bela Lugosi doesn't show up once.
He's not even invoked, if I remember correctly.
They don't even talk about him. What's going on there?
They did talk about one thing, and I was like, oh shit. I know. I can't remember what it is.
I know. I remember them talking about a thing or two.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit. Can't remember what it is. It's gone. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's gone forever.
No one can watch this movie anymore. It's been deleted off the internet.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Rest in peace, Blair Witch. You were really cool.
We didn't deserve you.
That's the episode.
That's the thing.
Follow us on Twitter at BogFrogBookPod. Follow us on Blue Sky at the same place. Make sure to rate and review. Also, make sure to check out our other show, Covered in Worms. You can send in questions for whatever episode is coming up next. By the time this is out, our Q&A special should be out as well. And our Crisis on Infinite Earths coverage is done as well. I hope you enjoyed that. I look forward to the rest of these mini episodes. Hooray! I don't know what order these are coming out in, but
yeah, we'll figure that out when
we'll figure it out.
Something.
Who's to say?
Who fucking knows?
Who knows? Nobody knows. Bye.
Bye.